Greetings, citizens, and welcome to another adventure of the Real Comic Heroes podcast. My name's Travis.
And I'm Patrick.
If you're new to the show, each episode we review a movie from the comic book genre. You can find our list of movies over at realpodcastnetwork.com. And this week we're stepping into the camp horror comedy genre with 1984's Toxic Avenger.
Oh, yeah. Toxie.
Toxie.
See, I know him from the cartoon.
I do too, and I don't... It's insane that they made a cartoon of this show. But it's one of those that I recognize the cartoon in the same way that I remember like Street Sharks and Mice from Mars or something like that. Like vague memories of shows that I'd never really watched, like.
Wasn't there like a Wildcats?
Yeah, Wildcats and...
It was like Thundercats ripoff.
Yeah, what else? Like
Captain Planet?
Yeah, kind of. I definitely watched more Captain Planet than something like this. Or
Now, nobody's going to know this one, but it's around that era. It's called Widget the World Watcher.
Wow. Sounds kind of familiar, but
Little purple alien. It's out there. Look it up, people.
Okay. So yeah, it's insane that there was a cartoon based on this.
Yeah, it's not exactly what I'd call kid-friendly.
Yeah. And know that there were some parents that, the kids watched the Saturday morning cartoon and then they saw, there's a movie about Toxic Avenger. Do you want to watch it? They pop in the VHS and then go.
I think right from the opening credits, they should know it. It shouldn't be watched. But...
Yeah. I like the disclaimer of, warning contains scenes of extreme violence.
Yeah. So hopefully they were watching at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then it just goes into a weird workout montage.
Every year, millions of gallons of poisonous wastes, garbage, and radioactive chemicals are disposed of in nearby towns such as Tromaville, the toxic waste-dumping capital of the world. Our story takes place at the Tromaville Health Club, where a young man named Melvin Ferd works. Melvin's entire life, in fact, entire being, was changed by toxic chemical waste.
It's like one of those you don't know if they're going to break into song or are they going to break into an orgy. Like,
yeah, it could have gone either way.
Yeah. So we should probably, hit the act breaks. And I think we have Act 1 ending with Melvin fully transforming and running around town, basically.
Yeah, as the monster.
Yeah.
As he's known in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think they say Toxic Avenger until the very end.
They never do, just the narrator does. Yeah.
Because even the T-shirts say, like, the monster.
Monster hero, yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then Act 2, are we saying end of Bozo's death and the little old lady?
I think kind of splitting those two, the car crash ending, the big fireball, and then he kind of gets out of the car and walks away, and then it kind of transitions into that next scene of the old lady and the dry cleaning.
Right.
So
yeah.
I would say kind of right in between those two moments.
Okay.
So,
do we want to go over the taglines?
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had any.
Yeah, and they're not as good as I thought they would be.
Okay.
I was kind of disappointed by Troma.
Yeah.
We've got quite a few here. We've got like 6, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
For such a small movie. So we got the main one, which is, not all monsters are scary to people. Not if it's one fighting crime in the Garden State.
Okay, it's a little wordy.
Yeah. Oh, there's a worse one. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right, next one. Criminals beware of the Toxic Avenger. He will kick your butt hard. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
And then he'll go from cleaning nerd to cleaning crime fighter.
Okay, that's it's
I guess it plays on the mop thing that he does.
Yeah.
Then it goes, Melvin was a 90-pound weakling until nuclear waste transformed him into ...
Yeah, that's the one
Toxic Avenger.
That's the one I definitely saw the most in on images and everywhere.
Then we got the first superhero from New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
And now he's 98 pounds, so he was 98 pounds of solid nerd until he became ... So,
Okay.
not that great in my opinion.
Yeah. The 98-pound, the first one, it was probably the best.
Yeah. I don't know why the kick your butt hard thing was in there, but whatever.
Yeah, that's a little weak.
Okay, so taglines out of the way.
All right.
We get right into it. What do you got in the first act?
Well, I think if I had to pair the entire first act into like one word, it would be exaggerated. Like we kind of mentioned, the movie opens on this stroll through the Tromaville Health Club, and we see, it, like I said, full of attractive people. They're incredibly fit, like supermodel types. Some of them are in bikinis, some are in workout clothes. They're like all, gyrating and dancing around. And the attractive people are extremely attractive, and the unfit people are comically unfit. There's a lady like mid-workout eating a Hershey bar and like a bag of potato chips. And
what did you think about the two gay guys?
Yeah, well,
I didn't know if that was like making fun of or like it was very confusing how to take that those two guys.
Yeah, it was weird because as the like Toxic Avenger credit, title card is coming onto the screen, it's right over both of them who are in like Speedos, and they're very hairy gentlemen, and it's really unappealing. But I kind of got to give it to them for like, hey, they didn't show them in, I guess, they weren't making fun of these two gay guys. They weren't in there, like, I don't think as a joke. Like, they just were there. Like, it's probably just if you went into a gym in the early 80s, these are the kind of people you're going to see. Like,
but the way they were working out was just...
Oh, that was, and that's kind of what I mean. Going back
exaggerated.
To exaggerated, everything was exaggerated. And then as I watched it and just kind of paid attention to the background characters, because I watched this twice. Once right before we started recording, and I paid more attention to the background characters in scenes like this. There's a lot of scenes in the gym, kind of at the first two acts, so there's a lot of background characters. So it's definitely worth paying attention to all those characters in the background and kind of what they're doing, because it's either nerds or the unfit people trying to use the equipment, and then they'll get shoved out of the way by some jock, unrelated to our main kind of characters. So stuff like that kind of going on in the background.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. Like, I think maybe it was something different back then, but now it's like gay culture was seen as sort of off the beaten path.
Sure, counterculture.
Counterculture-ish.
Yeah,
but even now it's more mainstream.
Yeah,
so it's kind of weird.
But even later on, when they showed those two guys in the salon, like, and obviously they're being shown as, I guess, stereotypical. They work in in a salon. I don't know if that's politically correct. I don't know if that's just, hey, it is what it is. I don't know if that's offensive or not, but even in that scene, they were talking about him, which one of them he would, the monster would want to, get with. And even that scene wasn't making fun of them, I didn't think. So, I don't know. It's actually, I thought, pretty, I guess, open-minded. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect that. It was almost like they were trying to make it shocking.
Sure. Yeah.
But I wasn't really shocked. I was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah.
So, but that might be just because I'm like now it's more mainstream than it was back then.
Yeah.
So it may have been weirder to have two gay characters in a movie back then than it is now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seemed, because I've noticed that throughout, like, even in like movies like Revenge of the Nerds,
Yeah.
Lamar.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically a giant stereotype.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the 80s and representing like the gay culture or
Yeah.
life, whatever you want to say, has always been a little weird to me looking back on it.
Sure.
so,
Sure.
I'll leave that to somebody else to figure out.
Right on. Let's see. Yeah. What's your first point, I guess?
Yeah, it's it kind of goes back to what I mean. This, you summed it up perfectly with the whole exaggerated, like Bozo
Yeah.
is just one big giant steroid.
Just walking hard on.
Yeah, like his head is constantly like veined out neck.
Yes.
It's like, I'm stressing out, Julie.
Yeah.
And like his reaction to Melvin.
He's stressing me, Julie. He is stressing me. Oh, Bozo. I can't take it, Julie. I cannot take it. He is screwing up my karma. I'm stressed.
And Melvin himself is like, I mean, he is a unique looking fellow.
He really is. I mean,
And I think he's like a sound guy. Like he's like an editor.
okay.
Like in real life. Like I don't think he's like really an actor. I looked him
Sure.
up real quick.
Yeah.
And he's basically known for these movies.
Right. Yeah.
And I think he's more of like a unique face that they found.
Okay.
But he plays it just as well as anybody else in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
with that
you're right.
caveat.
Mhm, right. Yeah. In a movie where all the acting is cranked up to 11, he plays it. I mean, I think exactly how you'd want it to be played. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But right from the get-go, I mean, it's kind of lame that they make it so easy to figure out who's bad, who's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me Bozo and, was it Slug?
Yeah. Bozo and Slug.
It reminded me of the movie Hobo with a Shotgun.
Okay. I never saw it, but I'm familiar with the.
There's a similar premise where like the elite like run down people with vehicles
Okay.
and are just unnecessarily violent,
Sure.
and they're going after like homeless people and stuff, and you know this guy has a shotgun, so that's the movie.
Gotcha.
So I'm assuming that movie took a lot from this because it popped right into my head
Right.
as soon as we get to the craziness that ensues with
Sure.
the foursome.
Yeah, because it's pretty quick. We get to see how Bozo and the rest of the psychopaths spend their evenings. It's like, not only are they just assholes who like to hang out in a gym, but they're also like horribly racist murderers who, performing these hit and runs for sport. So, like you said, they've got to like ramp it up, make them not only the bad guys, but make them the most evil.
Yeah, there's no middle ground in this movie.
Right. No, there's really not.
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, the only person that's middle ground really is the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, sort of.
Because
Yeah.
He is so violent.
Sure.
And the people's reactions to him and what he's doing to people is awesome.
Yeah.
It's questionable. We'll get into it later, but this movie,
Yeah.
it's hard to jump into this straight out of nowhere like I did.
Sure. Well, and
I had to keep that in mind while watching it because I've seen it before.
okay. Yeah.
So I had to back up and just not be freaked out by how over the top this movie is. It's definitely a group watch kind of movie.
Yeah, I noted that too. Kind of by the end of it, this would definitely be fun in a group setting, and that's kind of one of my earlier takeaways. Because, like I said, I've now watched this twice. Well, I'll go back. I've watched this before a couple years ago, but this was kind of like rewatching it for the first time because a lot of it I just didn't remember how extreme it went in a lot of cases. So the first time I watched it, I probably wasn't being fair on the movie because I was going into it being critical or thinking critically, and you know, and so I was just overwhelmed by the bad acting and the, you know, cheesy line deliveries and the editing and stuff like that. So I think I wasn't giving, you know, I wasn't really looking or wasn't really watching the movie. I was just like kind of picking apart everything. And
to be fair, the story's kind of two-dimensional.
Oh, sure.
Basically bad versus evil.
Yeah. But then, like,
or bad versus evil.
Yeah,
Good versus evil.
There you go. Yeah. Either way. But
not
then
so good versus really awful.
Right. Yeah. So I watched this again basically just before we started recording, and had a much better time with it because I wasn't looking for those, you know, those flaws with the, you know, the technical flaws and the acting flaws. I was just watching it, kind of taking it all in, you know. And so I'm kind of like, it was weird because then all my notes kind of then shift because I had a much better time with it the second time around. So I'm willing to go a lot easier on it now. So, but one of the notes that I had specifically focused on editing that I noticed in the first time around was, like, a lot of movies will shoot like a conversation between, you know, 2 or 3 people. They'll shoot like 3 times. You do the master shot where you just set the camera up with a wide, you know, shot of the entire scene and let all the characters do their dialogue. And then you shoot it again from, you know, shooting over one person's shoulder, looking at one person getting their dialogue. Then you move the camera, shoot it again from the other person's perspective, and then get all that dialogue. And then that way your editor can then, you know, stitch it together, make it look a little bit more dynamic. And yeah, that's why you change the perspective and everything. And as long as the dialogue is clean, they can splice those moments in wherever it feels natural. But with this, it's like, if someone's speaking, the camera is focused entirely on them until the next person starts to speak, and then the camera will just move instantly to that person. And it makes me wonder if, like, when it came to editing, did they only have access to bad takes and they just had to stick with just the takes that were usable? And that's why it's just very, like, simple, back and forth editing. There's not a lot of, like, that master shot where you have the group talking to each other. And I don't know, it was just, to me, it was noticeable. Like,
yeah, it's a low budget film, so I doubt they had a lot of time.
Yeah.
And this was back when it was on film.
Sure. So, yeah.
A lot less forgiving, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I even saw a couple boom mics as I was watching.
I read that there was one, like, in the restaurant scene, but I didn't.
I saw that a couple times, and I thought I saw one in the scene where everyone's freaking out about Melvin and the sheep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
So, but okay. I mean, I gave this thing a lot of space to breathe because I knew what it was. So
yeah,
it's not like we're talking about a Warner Brothers picture or something.
Sure, yeah.
All right. There was right away I picked up on the movie maker and his lack of faith in government and society in general.
Sure, yep.
Like, everyone's in on the misery of Melvin, even like the quote unquote normal people.
Yeah.
And the jocks as well. But like, the government is sort of seen as this evil organization. So, I mean, I don't know if that's what they were going for. It was so blatantly obvious. So it's kind of hard to tell if they were trying to make a heady sort of social commentary using this movie or not. But
yeah,
I could tell they weren't big fans of, I'm assuming, Reaganomics at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I basically had a pretty similar note. Like, you know, most of the characters in this movie are pretty deplorable. Like even Melvin is kind of unbearable to watch. Like, you know, in that opening scene or two.
When he catches them getting busy, it's just
right.
creepy.
It's creepy, yeah. Like everyone in the gym bears witness to the prank that they pull, and they're like actively involved in chasing him. You know, it's not the mob's fault that he throws himself out a window, because that's kind of an extreme reaction to being laughed at. But and it kind of goes back to what you were saying about, you know, the bad characters being ramped up to being evil, because you've got not only is there a truck like hauling the toxic waste, but it's there because these two jackasses are, you know, coked up in the cab. Like, you know, so you can't, it's not even like it, I guess it's a direct fault of someone that leads to, you know, the toxic waste being there in the first place. So,
well, I mean, the city is the toxic waste capital of the world.
Yeah. So then, back to what you were saying about the producers, and it's Lloyd Kaufman and I think Mike Hertz. Like, I get the sense, like you said, that they don't really. I'm guessing they have a problem with authority and politicians and police, and I get the sense that they don't really like New Jersey all that much. I
thought that was just playing on the fact that Jersey's always seen as a dump.
Right. I feel bad because I was watching. I was trying to find see if I could find a behind the scenes special on this, just to get a little bit more kind of background information on it. And the only thing I could really find was like a local news channel that was doing a kind of special like 5-minute look at the fact that they were shooting this movie in their town. It was like Boonton, New Jersey, and they were excited. They were talking to the actual mayor of that town and talking to him about, you know, they're excited, and this mayor was hoping that his town would be the Hollywood of the East, talking about how, and then they had the Mike Hers, one of the just like co-director, co-producer. You know, he was saying that this, you know, New Jersey was perfect because it had all the right locations, all the right elements. And I'm like, so they've got a dump and, you know, shitty back alleys, and like, so yeah, I get the impression that it's not a love letter to New Jersey. It's just we need a you know, armpit of a town, so we'll.
Well, I mean, to be fair, New York was sort of portrayed as a piece of shit, like in that same time frame.
Sure, and then even then, New Jersey was looked at as being worse.
It was toxic as opposed to just being a dump. It was just yeah. Okay, so did you want to talk about the hit and run stuff or the prank or anything?
I definitely want to talk about the stunt work and the special effects in the hit and run scene, especially because the kid getting hit by the car looks great. You're
an awful human
it's
being.
Weird, but I mean, from the impact of like him on the bike going over the car, and then
the head crush.
No. I mean, the getting hit by the car initially, and then him going over the top of the car, kind of in slow mo. Like, that's a real stunt person. You know, I watched it a few times. Like, it's not a dummy that they just flip over the car. Like, that's a real person. So
I mean, they slowed it down a little bit.
I'm sure they had to have.
Yeah, and just sped it up.
Yeah, but that scene really holds up, and the actor like crawling on the ground, it's disturbing and gross, but it's really well done, you know. And then of course you've got like the ladies are cheering and kind of taking the camera out and basically getting off on the scene, and it's actually one of the better shot scenes in the movie, I think.
I mean, that one, I cannot remember which one it is. It's not the super blonde one.
Okay, it's
the other one.
Wanda.
It's not Julie.
Wanda. Yeah.
She is the most disturbing character in this movie by far.
Yeah, we'll get to her.
Yeah.
She's a piece of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as like the stunts go, I thought that was a really good moment. And there's this one little tiny brief moment where it's Gary Schneider is the guy playing Bozo. He does this little thing once he finds out that they can't continue their, hit and run spree for the evening. They've got to, like the other guy has to get up early to go to church. That's right.
I love that.
He's got, because he's like still, and Bozo, like we've said, the entire movie he's at 11. He's fully engorged the entire time. Like all of his veins are always popped, but he has this really good moment when, like, you can tell now that he's gotten it out of his system, this like wave of calmness, like comes, starts at the top and works its way down his face, and he's just like completely soothed, and it's a really subtle performance that the guy gives, and it's incredibly brief, but it was really really good. Like,
yeah, I'd put that down as one of my favorite parts right there. But I gotta go to church in the morning. They're like,
yeah,
they're all like, oh yeah,
and
they're all relaxed all of a sudden.
Yeah, I like that. Do you want to talk about the transformation scene kind of as a whole, or do you? I mean, if you have any specific points about that, or
yeah, it was a very confusing scene.
Okay.
There was a lot going on.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You had him in the barrel, him out of the barrel.
Yeah.
Then somehow he lit the officer's hands on fire.
Even though he wasn't on fire, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he didn't light any of the other people on fire that he ran through.
But I noticed he lifts his arms up over his head, and the crowd kind of parts, and they definitely make an effort not to touch him. So I thought about that. I noticed that too, but
because he bumped into some people, which you think would have. I mean, it's not just his hands that are flammable. I wouldn't think, but I wasn't a huge fan of the mom. Like, he's finally gone through puberty or whatever it was.
Yeah, I just chalked that up with the
kind of hokey.
Yeah.
But it was. I still think that Evil Dead did a better job.
Okay.
Like the whole pustules bubbling.
Yeah.
It didn't work as well for me because when they popped, they were just dry sockets.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as cool as I thought Evil Dead had done. But I mean, it was still decent for talking about a low budget film.
Yeah.
They did what they could, and then of course they go into that weird lighting / slow motion blur thing.
Yeah.
So I took points off for that.
Sure.
I mean, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just go off camera and come back up.
Sure. Like,
I just think that's a cheesy way to go about a transformation.
Yeah.
It's pretty weak in my opinion. If you're gonna be half-assed about it, you might as well just go off screen and come back up.
Right. Which they still do,
Then they still do, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of that.
It's a bad transition from one frame to the next, yeah.
I enjoyed his head growing and then him growing.
Yeah.
I thought that was decently done.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell it's horribly fake.
Balloons, yeah.
But, I mean, I got what they were going with, and I enjoyed seeing the arms get bigger.
Right.
And things like that. So, I mean, they had some shining moments in the bizarreness of that transformation.
Well, and you can tell that the transformation scene is kind of like their. I feel like that's when it's their showcase scene. It's probably, and it's fine. It fits with the movie. The running through town on fire part of it before, like that, I really dig. I mean, it's hard to watch a scene like this and not think of like movies that we've already talked about, like Swamp Thing and even The Thing, and I didn't even connect it to Evil Dead like you said, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially with the skin effects and things like that. So like overall, the makeup and effects they're pretty good. He's really just kind of a big grayish brown blob. Like I wish he would have had like some bright green paint, like veins or something, like just something to give some coloration to his appearance.
Well, he's not even green really when he transforms. He's just sort of a dirty
that's what I mean.
Being.
Yeah.
Like as the Toxic Avenger, he's not even green.
Right. As far as the transformation goes, it's fine. Definitely we've seen better special effects, so far. But this is one of the lower budget, movies on our list, so.
Yeah. And we don't really get to see the face until later.
It's a lot later. It's like 45 minutes into it. It's when he's in the sauna. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's
Act 1.
All I've got for Act 1, yeah.
Boom. Done. Act 2, we sort of get back into the...
Starts with a no pissing sign.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought it was really nice to see some trans representation with the character of, I think it's Nipples is the character's name.
Yeah.
The guy in the crossdresser, It's a weird scene though because this cop shows up to confront Cigar Face and he calls them his bi-friends. Like, so it's he's kind of saying boyfriends, but then although later on in the movie the cop definitely has some kind of accent, and I couldn't tell if it was like
supposed to be Irish.
I thought maybe Irish, like the stereotypical cop Irish, but then most of the cops are German, or at least the one other cop that gets a lot of chief. So I didn't know if it was possibly. So calling them, I thought he said "bye friends." I'm wondering, is Cigarface gay? Because he says a lot of like.
He drops the F-bomb a lot.
He does, throw around some gay slurs a lot. But then he's wearing the earring on the right ear, which I don't know if that matters. It used to be a sign of like, if you're gay, you wear it on your right ear. If you're straight, you wear it on the left ear. I don't know if that's always the case or whatever. But they also like mention that what's his name? They say
one guy is dressed like a lady.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. and I think that's Nipples. And Nipples says like, they say if he doesn't cooperate, we should make love to him. And so that's when Cigarface takes the gun out and says, well, if that's what we're supposed to do, So it's real ambiguous of like, are they gay?
Isn't that where they pointed at his junk?
I think so. But he would then threaten to actually blow off his junk. So I don't know what their intent is, but I thought it was it's kind of cool that they do include these. I saw them as gay and trans characters, even though they are like, Cigarface is throwing around some pretty rough slurs, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I definitely.
It's a weird crew.
Yeah.
And Toxie shows up and sets everybody straight. Sets everybody straight.
Right.
This is where we see how he doles out justice, I guess.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of the whole film is Toxic Avenger's voice.
Oh, really?
I love that it's so like narrator-esque. It's ridiculous.
Don't worry, I won't hurt you. I don't know what came over me. I just couldn't control myself. I've never done anything like this before.
Like the first half of the movie, or first half of really this act, you get some of it you can tell is clearly in a booth, recorded later on. And it doesn't really fit, and a lot of it because you don't see his face for the most part. And maybe that's why, because you don't see him speaking. So the voice is just kind of coming from, off screen, essentially.
Yeah.
But then later on, when we do actually get to see his face, then the words match up a little bit better. It's still someone else doing the voice, but it definitely doesn't work. It's definitely one of the I think the lower, one of the weaker points of the film production-wise. But
I don't know why. I just enjoyed the fact that he had this suave voice all of a sudden.
Right, yeah. Like the Chocolate Rain voice, kind of.
It's just like he
just
had
didn't
that
fit.
voice that made me want to burst my eardrums.
Oh, nice.
And now he's got this like narrator's voice. So, second act, my favorite scene is probably the diner at the Chinese or Mexican place.
Okay.
And the main guy that gets his arm ripped off.
Yeah.
He does like a band intro for the robbers.
Oh,
I thoroughly enjoyed.
I liked Frank.
Yeah, it was.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are the entertainment for this afternoon. Now on shotgun, we got my man, Leroy. All right. And on the cash register, we got that magic fingers, Rico. That's me. And last but not least, yours truly, Frank. On the stick.
I mean, the downside to that scene, obviously, the shotgun in the baby's face.
Yeah, for me, it was the shooting the dog and the near rape.
Yeah. I guess the actor that played the guy with the black and red face.
Yeah.
Quit because of that scene that he had to point a shotgun at a baby.
Really?
He quit the film.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant quit acting because
Oh no, well, maybe that too, but
he definitely didn't, because he has been in everything, like every TV show. His name, you'll appreciate this. His name is Patrick Kilpatrick.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And like I said, I instantly recognized him as like I knew him from Under Siege 2. He's like, I think one of the guys that what's his name? Seagal has to fight. But he's either playing a military guy, a mercenary, probably cops, and not secret agents, but like FBI agents, that kind of thing. So he's got a long list of credits. So
I guess he didn't like that thing, so he dropped from it.
I can't blame him. Rewatching that, it was uncomfortable to see, and I just assumed that it was a fake gun. I hope, because that would be a hard scene to do. Yeah. But I love his look. I love that red and black face paint for no reason. I mean, they're just a bunch of pirates, essentially, like just all got their own like shtick, kind of.
He kisses that girl and rubs the lipstick on her face.
Yeah. I really that was Leroy. That was Leroy. I really like him, but I also really like Frank. Yeah, the band leader.
Yeah, I didn't realize he in real life didn't have an arm.
Yeah, I noticed as I was rewatching it that. So I thought that they just had him in costume from the start, because I got a look at his hand, and then when you rewatch the scene, and anytime they kind of show his hand or his arm, he's not using it. It's just fake from the moment they walk in. And so I thought, they're just setting up that he's going to get his arm ripped off way early. And then it occurred to me, like I looked him up, and he actually is an amputee, so they were able to use that. So it was. And especially like in the fight scene, he's just he's only using his left hand to like keep slapping Toxie around. But
that was my favorite part of Act 2, I think.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
And you had action, you had suspense, you had a love interest come into the picture.
Yeah. It's a weird scene because it goes from like you said, the fights kind of go on a little too long, but it's this weird mix of like slapstick and torture porn, because once they go like into the kitchen, it's
Yeah.
He's using the ice cream maker and the deep fryer and the pizza oven.
Yeah, pizza oven, milkshake throat, and deep fried hands.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, that is a fun scene.
I mean, I think that scene with the dog getting shot is... I read that it was the most hate mail that Troma has ever received.
Oh, wow.
It's from that scene alone.
Yeah.
Just goes to show that humans care more about dogs than each other.
Oh, yeah. Well, and keep in mind, this is a movie where a 12-year-old kid gets hit by a car and his head, smashed. So, yeah, people care more about dogs.
So, when Toxie saves the day and brings the lady home.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of the cane collection she had.
Oh, man. It's like one blind gag after the next. Like, she's she's a fortune teller. She's knocking her canes over. Yeah.
Hits him in the junk a couple
times.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah, it's basically Mr. Magoo at that point.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the first sauna scene.
Okay.
Only because it's weird because they set it up with her entering the sauna. She pours the water on, and she's got these Polaroids in her hand. Mm-hmm. And my first thought was, is she going into the sauna to masturbate with these photos? Turns out, yes.
Think about that.
It turns out, yes, but not yet, because we see it then transition to like a Friday the 13th style, someone's creeping up on her, like a slasher movie. Turns out to be Slug, but then it basically just cuts from them like laughing to I think the next scene. But then they later on in the movie they reuse this.
Yeah, the rock.
The actual same exact shot. They just reuse it. But then this time she goes in. But then we get another slasher moment where it's obviously Toxie. Yeah. So it's like we get to. It doesn't make sense why he would be wearing that blanket over his head or whatever it is. Like, it's only for...
How does he know what they do?
Yeah, I mean, and maybe it's something that, he was the janitor there, so maybe he kind of knows what goes on. They never really set up that he, I don't know, is that, like, aware of anything going on, so I don't know. It's kind of a weird moment just because they use that same setup. And it was weird because at the start of it, I thought, is this why she's going in the sauna? And then, it must not be. But then later on, she's got the same Polaroids in her hand because it's the same actual shot. So it's just kind of a strange, use of the same footage for two scenes in completely different acts. Because that first time was actually in Act 1. Where they were setting up the gag of it being like a slasher moment, kind of just a weird split scene.
But this is where we get to see the face.
That's true, yeah. And it done pretty well, because, I mean, it does kind of work with the removing the whatever sack that he's wearing.
It made me think that this is where the inspiration for Sloth from Goonies came from. Ooh. It kind of looks like Sloth.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I wonder.
Like the eye off center and the tufts of hair and the weirdly shaped top of the head.
Because what year was Goonies?
That was like 85, I want to say.
Okay, 86? I was thinking 87 maybe, but that could be right, yeah. As far as inspiration goes.
Oh, yeah, look it up.
Okay.
But, that's immediately what I thought of when I saw it. I was like, hey, Goonies.
My only other note for this act really was something you already brought up with them having issues with like politicians and authority, and the fact that the cops are basically Nazis. At least the chief is.
Chief is.
And then like the mayor is corrupt. All of his cronies are all,
Yeah, the one guy sells drugs.
Yeah, yeah.
Gets his head crushed in by a weightlifting machine.
Which that's another great special effect with his head like half gone and like moving around. Like that's an amazing special effect. So
yeah, I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Goonies did come out in 85, so shortly after this one. But it's weird that two films would come out like so close with similar characters. I mean, that's essentially what Toxie is sloth.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, the ripped off sleeves and the muscles and
Oh yeah, yeah.
like it's basically
Yeah,
sloth.
that's interesting. Yeah.
Except, Toxie's apparently invulnerable, but yeah. Okay. Now, I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
Toxie in Act 2 is going after the gruesome foursome.
Sure.
Slug, Wendy, Julie, Bozo.
Yeah.
Does he take out Julie? Because I never see her dead, and I swear I saw her at the end, but just with no, like, a different hair look.
I didn't catch her at the end, but that's an interesting point because I assumed because he's got her he chases her down underneath the gym, I guess. And yeah, it has the scissors and then it cuts away. But I read that there was a deleted scene where he goes at her with scissors and just cuts her hair. And then even Wanda, he doesn't actually kill. He just essentially burns her ass.
That was my other question.
Does
she just have a hot ass now, like you said?
Yeah. And then apparently there was a deleted scene where the two of them, Wanda and Julie, are at the police station, and they're both like, reporting that someone chased them down and tried to cut their hair, and then obviously that she got burns or whatever. So, and then they just kind of laugh it off together. So I don't know why they don't get killed. Because they're
they're just as bad, if not worse.
Right, yeah. But it's weird when he's chasing down Julie that the scene plays out like she's a victim, that he's, just this relentless killer. It weird because some of those scenes really feel like a Friday the 13th or Halloween, where it's just this killer that's stalking them and not letting up. But yeah, at no point.
They played that up a lot. I mean,
yeah.
Even with the old lady, like he's on one side, and then all of a sudden he's on the other side.
Yeah, I dig that.
The clothes, yeah.
But I don't know why they left Julie and Wanda alive, but then we never see them either again. I mean, I didn't see her at the end. It makes sense that she had a different haircut because of the deleted scene, apparently, but I didn't catch her. Was she in the?
She was in the group at the end that was there, with the army.
Okay. Huh.
At least I thought that was her.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was just looking randomly throughout.
Sure. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, though.
So you want to talk about the Bozo scene?
Let's see. I mean, there's just kind of a general like crime fighting montage that there's not.
Oh yeah.
And he's doing a lot of like crime fighting. Essentially, there's he saves the 12-year-old prostitute. He avoids getting killed by some of the mayor's men, and that's kind of like they're setting up the element of there being a hero monster fan club. So it's little stuff like that.
He opens that popcorn and like the kernels turn the kernels turn into popcorn.
It's a jar of popcorn. Yeah.
And he saves those kids from getting run over by Bozo in the game.
Yeah. And there's a really uncomfortable sex scene with him and Sarah.
Yeah, it's just awkward. But she seems to be into it.
Yeah, oh yeah, totally. She's definitely willing. But
I mean, she's already touched his junk once,
right?
Looking for his hand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, you want to jump to the end of Bozo?
Just give me a wheel. You're gonna kill both of us. You want the wheel? Here, take the wheel.
Yeah, I I was kind of thinking that Toxie was having some regret because they kept leaving a path of destruction behind them.
Yeah.
Like, because he kept looking back at it.
I noticed that,
but
yeah.
he never really stopped it. So
yeah,
I was kind of confused as to what was going on.
Yeah, it was definitely weird.
Like, he almost took out that whole playground of kids.
yeah.
It was a bizarre scene, and I thought that was like going into the older lady scene, and it was like a transition of him losing it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Until I found out, like,
right.
I hadn't watched this in a while, but until we find out later what that lady was really into. But I thought the stunt driving was pretty good, though.
I did too, and especially the initial scene where he jumps on the car and then does the flip and then rolls kind of on top of the car. Like, I actually really dig that. Like, it's a lot of it's well done. I'm impressed that they were able to blow up a car in a semi-residential area. I mean, it's not like a completely deserted area. I mean,
it's New Jersey. They'll let anything happen.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty impressive. Yeah, it's a really good little chase scene. It goes on a little long, but and again we have Slug. Like, he gets thrown from the car, and I guess he dies. I can't imagine that he would have died from that tuck and roll, but we never see him again, so I'm assuming he's dead. It's kind of strange that like his revenge is basically done by the end of the second act. It's a little odd.
Bozo's the only one that we know is dead.
That's true, yeah. Out of all four of them, I guess. The first time I watched it, I assumed that he was taking them out, one at a time.
So, I guess that leads us to the third act then.
I think so. Oh, that's all I got.
Okay. So third act starts off with a bang.
Yeah.
Very confusing and jarring because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
It had been a while, so at first I thought that her boys were Slug or Bozo.
Okay, I had the exact same thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that's why he was going after her.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Apparently she was some kind of like what was it, like a
she was like a kingpin of some white slavery ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
bizarre.
Yeah, but I had the same thing where I thought, because she mentions that her boy is taking out their girls her girl and coming home with these stains, and I thought, okay, is this mother like somehow aware of what they're doing and pleading or being ignorant about it, but somehow also an accomplice to it, and that's why he kills her?
Well,
so it's really strange,
work, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't want you.
No.
You thought it was blood. Okay.
No.
I was like, oh, geez, Trevor.
Yeah, that white blood that we all have.
When a boy loves his hand.
Yeah, he bleeds white,
or a girl. But mostly a hand.
Yeah. That's great.
Okay.
So I'm right there with you. I thought it was a really weird scene, but then
I'm glad they explained it, though.
Right, me too. Because as soon as they said, what the case was, it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense that, set it up so that it looks like he's just this monster, killer that the community can then hate and fear. But then, let us in on the fact that, that lady they killed was actually a, horrible person. So, I kind of like that they do it that way. It's a little weird at first, but it's almost like maybe it would have been a little cleaner if the lady had been tied to Bozo and Slug, and maybe she was, like condoning their behavior and going out on these hit and runs. And but it works either way. Just maybe it could have been like tie her to someone else. Might have been.
Yeah,
might have been a way to do it, but they explain it away. So
it's kind of playing on the fact that he has that compulsion to destroy evil.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. Yeah.
Like, he doesn't even know why he killed her.
It's kind of, it's an intriguing notion that he's got like that sixth sense in regards to crime, and that weird German doctor explains it as he is compelled to seek out crime.
It is also highly probable that this monster may have developed a very basic instinct which draws him, or should I say, commands him to destroy evil.
And that's the only explanation you get for it. Because the same with the drug dealer. There's no connection between him and the drug dealer, that unless this is like knowledge that he had from being a janitor. Like maybe he just knows that the guy he works with, or this guy is in the gym all the time selling drugs, but we don't really know how he's aware that, that these drugs are being pushed. Like, it's another scene where they could have like shown Toxie stop some kid from shooting up and then finding out, where did you get these drugs? Oh, that guy in the gym was selling them. Like, but again, if it works, if they later on explain that he's just compelled, he just knows about these, I guess, crime, but at the same time, it's not explained really. It just is. So
it made me think of this movie I saw called Frailty, where they can sense evil.
Yeah.
So I just sort of chalked it up to that. It's just he can sense evil now.
Sure.
It's one of his superpowers. It's like Spidey sense.
See,
Toxie sense.
I always just think of the episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they decide they're going to write a movie, Charlie and Mac, and they talk about like what if it's Dolph Lundgren and he can smell crime, and then they go from like he's got his head is just one big nose, and so that's how he can smell crime, and then, for some reason Charlie wants him like running around on all fours like a hound. So as soon as like it got to the point where he was sensing crime, I was like, okay, he smells crime.
Nice.
What else you got?
Well, all this with the lady leads up to the government trying to sort of take down.
Okay, yeah.
And they use this as their excuse and get the governor involved. And, the mayor is all Plotty McPlotterson.
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, we'll capture him. And like the whole time, like the only thing about this movie is I never feel like Toxic Avengers in any kind of danger.
Sure.
Until the guns come out, because I don't know straight up that he's impervious.
Right.
But at the same time, he's also deaf because he doesn't hear an army and the whole town show up outside their tent.
Well, he probably didn't hear it over the sounds of their lovemaking.
I mean, it's bad enough she's blind.
Yeah.
But if he's deaf, that's basically a Richard Pryor movie.
Yeah,
with, Gene Wilder.
You can see one side of his head, like his ear hole is basically fused over. I think he has one ear on his right side. I
did not even think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe this is legit. I am sorry.
Yeah.
I was hasty in my assumption. That
have a little sensitivity of the handicapped.
Tell a freaking tank and the whole town and soldiers showed up.
Yeah. The scene where they show him creeping up towards the shack that Sarah's in. The music is ominous, and it makes it seem like she's in danger, but then the entire time we know it's him, so we know that he's not gonna. There's no reason to play ominous music. We know he's not gonna hurt her. But then after rewatching it, I realized that this scene comes before the mayor finds out that Miss Haskell is a horrible person. Mm-hmm. So at this point in the movie, we I guess are led to believe that he is actually he's out of control and he is killing innocent people. Yeah. And so I think it's a legitimate it's actually pretty clever. It's legitimately set up to make you think like, oh, he may actually go in there and kill her because now he's just killing random people. So
Yeah.
at first, the first time I saw it, I was like, why are we seeing, why are they setting up another like slasher moment as if he's going to go in there and kill her? And it was weird because first time around, I just thought that's a really poorly done moment, but then rewatching, I was like, oh, it's actually pretty clever. So
Yeah, I thought it was one of the better moments. Actually.
yeah. So,
And I liked the little Nixon book in the Toxic Waste.
yeah, I didn't really get the connection there. I mean, I don't.
It's just that his book would just be nothing but toxic.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Is what I assumed. I mean,
Right.
I wasn't digging too deep into their...
I guess that makes sense. I mean, like you were talking about the whole problem with authority and...
Granted, it had been a few years since the Nixon
Not too far. I
resignation. mean, 84, it happened, what, in
77?
Was it 77?
I thought it was. I don't know.
Might have been. I know it's around Elvis's death.
Okay.
Just because I know there's that picture of Elvis and Nixon.
Oh, okay.
It's when he's in his weird drug phase. Okay, back to the movie.
Yeah, yeah. So so now we're set up in this weird like field with the tanks roll up on him, and
he went somewhere where he couldn't hurt anybody, which seems to be like 5 minutes from town.
Right.
Obviously, every townsperson could walk there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a strange third act because by the end of Act 2, we've already seen him complete his like mission of vengeance, which is kind of what you think this whole movie is going to be about because they set it up like he's got these 4 people that are just nothing but assholes. Even the people surrounding them, the other gym members are like they're kind of also in it, So you kind of think it's just going to be a movie about him seeking out, that vengeance, and then that leads to more crime fighting. But then,
well, I thought that until the whole sensing evil thing.
Sure.
And then I was like, okay, he's got to finish off the government then.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think he does anything with the Nazi police sergeant.
No, he's completely untouched at the end of this. Yeah. But it's really strange that he ends up like disemboweling the mayor in front of the entire National Guard, the cops, the the citizens, the kids, like, and everyone. As soon as he's dead, like, people are cheering for him, and it's a happy moment. Like, I just find it really strange that
because he turned on him really quickly.
And he's got no proof that the mayor did anything. I mean, he offers him a bribe. Like, he says he'll give him 10%, but, there's still no, like, admission of that the mayor, I don't know. It's weird because he kills the mayor for crimes that I guess he just, because he can sense it, but there's no, like, connection to the mayor and all this crime that is made I guess
I think
public,
we're just supposed to assume that'll come out later.
I guess so.
I mean, other than the fact that he was just so adamant about killing him, and then even with the people in the way, he kept his gun out. I guess. I mean, maybe we don't know the backstory. Maybe everyone really hated the guy.
Yeah, I guess it's really weird, but it's just
he even does like a cheeky line after he kills him.
Yeah, he asks him if he's got any guts, and I do like the bit of the mayor like trying to force his, I don't know, spleen like back into his body right before he dies.
It's gonna say more about me than anything, but I swear I thought they were going to show him trying to eat it back in. Just because they kept playing on the fact that, like, every time you saw him, he was, what was that one scene? He was, like, laying on a sandwich and eating it. And
he was, I guess, at the gym, laying next to this huge, like, 6-foot sub, basically. Yeah.
So I was not putting it past them to have him trying to eat his organs back.
Right, yeah.
But, that's sort of how it ends.
That's all I have.
And they say he's the Toxic Avenger, and then he does some poses.
So Melvin, the monster hero, rid Tromaville of all of its evils so the good citizens could live their lives in peace and happiness. And the next time you're in danger or in need of help, look to the horizon and maybe, just maybe, the Toxic Avenger will be there.
It's surprising that it had the staying power that it did.
I sort of know what you mean, but at the same time, it's like it's achieved cult status. But other than that, like,
but it's continued. Like there are like iterations till like 2016.
Oh yeah, that's definitely true. So
like I can understand cult status, but the fact that they still made more content and spawned a cartoon.
Yeah, but that Troma, like it's like Troma Entertainment, like they crank out stuff like left and right.
Yeah.
I mean.
And this is what started it.
I think I read it was the longest running independent studio.
Yeah.
Something like that. So
people just love the campiness and the gruesomeness and the over the topness, I guess. And they were the pioneer, so.
And I read that it had I read two different numbers, but one was $475,000 budget or $500,000 budget. And that it made $800,000 in its initial like theater run. So obviously didn't really even make double its money. But I'm sure it's made money over time. So
it's
you can actually, it seems like I watched this the second time on just on YouTube, and it seemed to be an official Troma feed. Like they have it posted, and it's the full. It even says like not safe for work version. So you get everything with it.
Yeah, I watched this movie on YouTube.
Did you? Okay, yeah.
On the NSFW.
Yeah, it must probably the same feed that I watched earlier today. So it's cool that they make it available seemingly. Yeah. So I didn't feel guilty about watching it on there, because they. Little tip for our listeners: if you want to find this to watch, like just go to YouTube.
Even though we just spoiled it for you.
No
problem.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because this is essentially a like origin story superhero movie.
Yeah.
But he's kind of an odd hero.
Yeah, definitely like an anti-hero.
Yeah, but I could see this being remade in the future.
I could too, yeah.
Like after Troma has left its mark and moved on and nobody's there.
Yeah.
Like I could see somebody picking this up in like 20 years or something.
Sure. Yeah, you get another studio that's, feeling nostalgic and it's a little bit of money to spend and kind of work with Troma. I could see them doing a slightly bigger budget, definitely bigger budget version. Yeah. Better effects, all that. So, yeah, I bet we'll see a resurgence of Toxic Avenger in the next 5 to 10 years.
I mean, not even like necessarily huge budget, but like maybe even like crowdsourced. Like get them a couple mil or set them up with a smaller studio. Like I could see this being like, even if they get it to like the level of what Swamp Thing had,
right?
Yeah. Because I sort of think of the two similarly, even though they're totally different.
I kind of did too, yeah.
But I looked up this movie on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to play a little game now.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to have you guess the tomato meter and the audience score.
Okay. So
what are you thinking the tomato meter is, which is the critics?
Okay. It's 1 out of 100, right?
It's percentages.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 40%.
Okay. What do you think the audience had?
I probably would go a little higher. I'm gonna say 65.
All right, you're pretty close to the audience. It's 63%.
Okay.
Tomato meter score is 70%.
Wow.
It is fresh as fuck.
Huh. Nice. I would have thought too much gore, too much violence, too much like objectifying, women, but which actually was kind of going to be one of my notes the first time I went through this, was like, oh, the women are just objects in this. But then rewatching it in that initial stroll through the gym in the opening, the men are just as out there for objectification. There are just as many shots of buff dudes, working out in the gym as there are women. So,
I think the women are more evil than the guys.
And they have, yeah. So,
or at least Wendy.
Yeah. So,
oof.
So rewatching it, I think it's pretty.
Julie eggs him on,
right?
I mean, they're the ones that are like, oh yeah, let's get these points for this and that, and I won't say what she said, but
yeah, right. I think Puerto Ricans is the only category that she says that we can actually say.
Yeah, I don't know why she's got such a thing against Puerto
Rican. I don't either. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So, was that both of your? Yeah. So you said, what was the Rotten Tomato and the critics?
70% for Rotten Tomato, and audience was 63.
Okay, right.
So critics seem to really dig the camp and the horror, the gore. I think people know what you're getting with this. It's not. I mean, you gotta take into account what kind of film this is. So
sure, yeah.
Gets a little more generosity, I think. So, what do you think as far as your ratings?
Well, do we want to do heroic and villainous first?
Oh, yeah.
I believe there's a hero in all of us.
I just finally know what I have to do.
That keeps us honest.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
Gives us strength.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards.
Makes us noble.
And I know in my heart that it's right.
I'll let you go first with heroic.
Okay. I don't know, there's a lot of choices, because we get that whole montage, and then there's a lot of heroic beats with him saving kids from the car, the restaurant scene, the 12-year-old, hooker. So he actually is shown doing a lot of do-goodery type stuff. So
yeah.
And then at the end, you got the town itself sticking up for Toxie, and that's a really good heroic moment, and that's probably the best heroic moment of the movie. It's right there at the end. The
people
town
that jumped in front of them.
Yeah.
The fast food kid and the cop.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking the restaurant scene, just because it's the most, it's built up as the most heroic scene. He's, helping this blind girl that's about to get, as he said, cornholed.
Yeah.
I always wanted to cornhole a blind girl.
He did not say girl.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm trying to be classy here.
Right, good.
So, I had the restaurant scene as the most heroic, even though it ended horribly.
That's kind of why I didn't go with that one, just because it's there's so much, like I said earlier, just torture porn throughout that. It's hard to be heroic when you're making an ice cream sundae out of a dude's face.
But at the basis of it, he's saving a blind girl.
Sure.
Getting cornholed by a really crazy guy.
Right.
And I don't know what was going to happen to that guy at the register with that other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Kept kissing him for some reason.
Rico.
Yeah. Villainous, I guess.
You were made to be ruled.
Gods are selfish beings who fly around in little red capes and don't share their power with mankind.
In the end, you will always kneel.
I think you and I are destined to do this
Man, I mean,
Oh, I got mine easily.
I do too. And then
the same.
Probably the hit and run at the kind of beginning, just the hitting the kid on the bike and then running over his head. I mean, that's as the girls are like dancing around him and taking pictures. Like it's hard to top. I mean, even the criminals we see in the movie aren't doing stuff like that. So
I'll one up that easily.
Okay.
I'm going to Wendy and rubbing it out to the pictures of that thing.
Okay.
That is by far the most disturbing thing I've ever seen on film.
Yeah, you might be right. She is a supervillain.
Movies for me.
Nice.
I couldn't even enjoy that her boobs were out.
Man.
And it takes a lot.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm sorry, Patrick. I hope you get through this tough time.
It was disturbing on so many levels.
Sure. Yeah.
I was just like, oh, yeah.
I'll give a runner-up, like most villainous, to the entire town watching Melvin burn alive and doing nothing.
Even like the nerdy normal folk were laughing at him.
Yeah.
It's like nobody liked this guy.
Right.
And to be fair, he may have been a perv because...
Yeah, but...
He got what he deserved.
Oh, right, clearly.
Yeah. I mean, he got huge and an excellent voice. So really, nothing bad happened to him.
Right.
Everything turned out great for him after this.
Totally.
He got a hot blind girl.
Yeah, he got the girl. The town loves him.
Everyone loves him. His mom's proud of him now.
He's Jersey's first superhero.
Yeah, so... Give the townspeople some slack. They knew what they were doing.
All right.
They knew he was going to turn into.
They were watching a hero be born.
They knew an origin story. When
Okay.
They saw one.
All right. Right on. So next time I see someone on fire, I'll just hang back and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Any like particular things that hold up or don't hold up?
It's kind of hard with this one.
Yeah.
I'd
say the stunts are
good. Yeah.
Stunts are solid. Special effects and makeup are kind of a mixed bag. I mean, some of it's good, some of it's, overall I would say it all holds up, but nothing like groundbreaking, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to comment on a movie that's as
30
campy as this.
33 years old.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. Okay. Any pros or cons that?
I can say I enjoyed the ride. I didn't know what the hell was going to happen next.
Yeah.
I hadn't watched this in a while. So.
Yeah. They had a really creative use of violence. I mean, stuff I'd never seen before.
Yeah, it made me. Oh, sorry. It made me think of fatalities in Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah. When I rewatched it, I added one pro that after rewatching it, that when just Bozo, like every time he stares into the camera and just screams, especially after Julie, seemingly she seemingly dies before they steal the car, him just screaming like, I actually really enjoy most of his performance now.
Yeah, he's actually, I read that Vincent D'Onofrio was supposed to play his role.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
But he asked for more money.
Oh.
So they cut him.
I'm sure he probably had done, what was that one with a big movie? Oliver Stone. Not Apocalypse Now.
Oh,
plays Private
Metal Jacket.
Yeah, there you go.
Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, I'm guessing that came before this, so he probably was. I don't know what year that came out, but I'm guessing it was
after '84. Yeah, so that's the little trivia thing on IMDb. So whether that's true or not,
yeah. The only trivia thing that I thought that was notable is that Marissa Tomei was in the movie.
Yeah.
In the director's cut, she's in a scene like
running around from the shower or something.
I think it's when he's running. he's going through the women's locker room after he's like basically chasing Julie. Like she's there in a full like leotard type outfit, and she just screams in his face and runs away or something. So
Gotcha. Yeah, you want to do
cool.
the rating?
Overall thoughts and rating, yeah.
Yeah, this was a difficult one to do. I mean, it's it's kind of weird trying to compare this movie to other movies we've watched, just because it's low budget, camp. So you can't like compare, like say, like a Superman movie to Toxic Avenger. It's kind of hard to like pair them together. But if I consider the fact that this is a movie that would be best watched in a group, like you said, it probably takes a couple viewings to get over the initial shock of the film, the craziness of it. And there's like a dedicated base of fans that are really into this, like just horror in general. And I'm not really that demographic, honestly.
Right.
So I gotta give it like a 2.5 because it's kind of like a movie that I could watch every once in a while, but only in a group. And it's not that great of a story.
Yeah.
But I can enjoy parts of it. So that's where it got me just a little below average.
Okay.
How about you?
So pretty close to you. I wish this movie had a little bit more of a satisfying ending.
Yeah.
The revenge plot part of it kind of feels like it wraps up too soon, and then you're left with the rest of the movie just feels disconnected to everything that came before it. Like it becomes, the mayor sending out cops to search for him, and like they never get like the mayor and Toxie never have a real confrontation. And so it just feels like they're in two different movies. So that when they finally meet, it's also their final meeting, in a weird way. So, and even then he straight up murders him essentially in front of a crowd of citizens and everything. So
that's just what he does.
Yeah. So it's a frustrating movie. And like I said earlier, like that initial frustration, I think was my fault because I was sitting down initially, with a critical eye instead of just letting it like just happen and taking it all in. And like you said, like that first time around, you're just kind of shocked with what you're seeing. So definitely some stuff that just will not hold up to today's like standards, whether that's like from a filmmaking point of view or just like morality and, sensitivity standards. So there's a lot of like uncomfortable moments, but it's got that like outrageous gore and violence and campiness. And I wrote this before I rewatched it. So I said, it's got outrageous gore, violence, and campiness, and I kind of want to watch it again, which is fitting because I had the time before we started recording. I did watch it again, and I'm glad I did because I had a lot better time with it. And so, yeah, I agree. It's a movie that you can watch with a group of friends. It's a movie that I could see watching again in a couple years. Like, it's going to be a little while, I think, until we get to Toxic Avenger 2, so I might rewatch this before it. So I give it a 3. It's totally middle of the road. Like you said, I mean, this isn't my genre. I didn't even enjoy Evil Dead. So for this one, like it hit the right kind of notes and just for the most part, just kind of fun overall. So you kind of got to get through those shocking moments to get there, but yeah, I think it's worth watching. So
all right,
that'll put it at a 2.75 for the overall rating.
Yeah, it's a movie that's kind of polarizing, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to hit those that really like this kind of thing and
yeah,
hit or miss on everyone else. Overall, not too bad, Troma.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this one, and this was I want to say you suggested throwing this on the list.
Yeah, just I was a big fan of the cartoon when I was a kid.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad it made it on the list.
And it's drastically different than the cartoon.
Oh, I'm sure it has to be.
Yeah, it's more wholesome, I guess, is an easy way to put it.
Yeah, I assume the cartoon was more Captain Planet-y. Like, I think they're fighting. I did read that it's more about them fighting off like aliens who are trying to pollute or something like that. So it definitely has like
very Captain Planet
eco-friendly message.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is kind of, I guess, in line with their anti-government stance in this movie. It's like, you know, if the government's not going to help clean up, then maybe we can use this to move some people into thinking about, you know, the world.
Right.
So in a sense, I can see that, even though it seems to be a totally different, you know, Toxie.
Sure. Yeah.
Like it's night and day, but I could see, you know, using the same character for a similar purpose.
Yeah, because even the cartoons like called Toxic Crusaders, I think. Or am I making that up? For some reason, that's just what I remember it being called.
Oh shit! Now I gotta look it up with the Google machine.
Oh, while he's doing that, I'll say that our listeners can email us at realcomicheroes@gmail.com to let us know. Are you a fan of the Troma universe and some of their stuff? Or do you like Toxic Avenger? Let us know. You can get in touch with us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much everywhere. We're at Real Comic Heroes.
I got an update for you.
Okay, go for it.
It is Toxic Crusaders.
Okay.
Aired on Fox 91 to 93.
Okay.
Had a good run there.
Nice.
And he was green.
Oh, makes sense.
How I remembered him.
So that pretty much wraps things up. If you want to head over to iTunes, or keep hearing people say Apple Podcasts instead of iTunes. I guess they changed the name or something like that. But either way, head over to that Apple place.
I listen on Stitcher.
I use Downcast, so I don't know.
Okay.
But if you have a minute, go over to iTunes and leave us a nice rating. Some other people have done that, and I will share. From Rabid Scientist, they said, have their pulse of movies I grew up watching. So it's Travis and Patrick keep me coming back for more, luring me in with great discussions on the movies that shaped my pop culture world. It's time you give this show a listen and subscribe. So big thanks to Rabid Scientist. That's a great review. So we've got some more that came in, and we'll share those, probably just, release them with every episode probably. So
keep them coming.
Yeah, please do. You got anything else?
No, I think that'll wrap it up for today.
All right. So
what do we got next?
Next time on Real Comic Heroes, 1984's Temple of Doom.
Is that a board game?
Sounds like it.
I
guess I should clarify. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Monkey brains.
Ah, yes, monkey brains.
Get ready for some Indian stereotypes.
Hold on to your potatoes.
Oh, good Lord. I'd like to apologize with everyone I work with. This is the 80s, so just take that into consideration.
Yeah, the stereotypes will be a-flying.
And I'm not just talking India. I'm talking...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Shorty.
Short round.
No, and don't forget blonde women in general.
Yeah, Willie.
Yep. No, it's going to hurt.
Well.
We'll see. I've been holding out on it.
I haven't watched Temple of Doom in years. It's been a long time. So
yeah, it's probably been 5 years for me.
Yeah, that's probably about right for me. So
I remember really liking it as a kid, so we'll see how it holds up to grumpy old man. Me.
Gotcha, yeah. Temple of Doom was the one that I never loved. Like, it was never, I was a bigger fan of Last Crusade, so.
Oh, okay. High class.
Yeah.
I like this one because of Short Round.
Okay.
I could identify with him.
Sure, yeah. Being a small Asian boy.
Yes. Hey, we're just small children. I don't see Asian or white.
Wow, you're so woke.
No, I think I just liked Goonies a lot. So
right, yeah.
All right, so yeah, check in when we're reviewing the Doom that hits the temple.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
You know, Temple Doom, Doom Temple, whatever.
Yeah,
same thing.
Cincinnati Jack and the Doomed Temple.
Cincinnati Jack and Short Triangle.
Yeah.
Or Tall Triangle, I should say. Damn it. Screwed that up. God. And I guess what? Willie would be... I don't know.
Stevie.
All I can think of is Free Willy.
Nice.
Awesome movie.
Yeah.
Not really. It's probably not going to hold up. Sorry.
Well, it's not on our list, so we'll never have to find out.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah.
Michael Jackson. All right. Well, we will see you guys on the next adventure then.
If adventure has a name, it must be Indiana Jones.
This is serious!
From Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
You don't believe me. You will, Dr. Jones.